It is true that every human is unique in one way or another. However, calling some people unique might just be an understatement. From unusually short people to those who altered certain parts of their bodies, allow us to introduce you to 15 men you won't believe exist and with very strange appearances. Number 15, Nicholas James Vujicic. Nicholas James Vujicic is an Australian-American Christian evangelist and motivational speaker who was born with tetra amelia syndrome. It is a rare disorder that is characterized by the absence of arms and legs, but he has 2 small feet, one of which has 2 toes. You probably know this man already. He is quite infamous. But let's tell you some things you don't know about him.
Harden your heart as you hear the knock on the door. He loves you whether you're running away 100 miles an hour in the wrong direction or not.
Did you know that his mother refused to see him or hold him when the nurse held him in front of her? She found his sight so disgusting that she and her husband went out of the hospital and vomited. They later changed their minds and eventually accepted the child, concluding that it was God's plan for them. His condition made him a target for school bullies, making him often fall into depression, and he even once thought of committing. He tried in his bathtub at age 10, but couldn't follow through. His turning point came when he realized he had to accept his condition. Gradually, Nick figured out how to carry out daily tasks, even without limbs, and what he was able to do will leave you speechless. They are things that even limbed people couldn't have ever imagined being possible. Nick writes with the 2 toes on his left foot. He refers to it as his chicken drumstick.
Daddy!
Good morning. Hi. Oh.
He uses the computer and has a typing speed of about 45 words per minute. He can throw tennis balls, play drum pedals, get himself a glass of water, comb his hair, brush his teeth, answer the phone, and shave. He also plays golf, swims, and even skydiving. Number 14, Tom Staniford. Tom Staniford is one of only 8 people in the world suffering from MDP syndrome. The syndrome is an extremely rare condition that prevents the body from storing fat under the skin and even on the soles of feet. In other words, people suffering from the condition have 0 fat. Just imagine. Though Stanifold was born with normal metabolism, he started losing fat around his face and body at the age of 12. His condition made him the skinniest man in the world in 2013. He also has just 40% of the muscles of an average man. As a result of the condition, his hearing also got compromised. So he is forced to use hearing aids. Apart from having hearing problems in both ears, he also has type 2 diabetes, which could be attributed to the high levels of fat in his blood. Despite all these conditions, Stanifold proved that it's possible to live a normal life. He is lucky to have a girlfriend that believes in him. Tom Staniford is a graduate of law and a C3 paracyclist. As a keen cyclist, he bought his first road bike in 2005. Unfortunately, a year later, he had a head-on collision with a car while he was out training. The accident left him with life-threatening injuries. Notwithstanding, he survived. Still, he wasn't deterred. He kept on using cycling as a form of rehabilitation and recovery from his injuries. He won the 2011 National Paracycling Circuit Race Championship. Number 13, Sajjad Garibi. Popularly known as the Iranian Hulk, Sajjad Garibi created a storm on the internet with his enormous physique. Standing at 6 feet 2 inches tall and weighing 385 pounds, he claimed to be the world's strongest man. He felt his huge body of muscles would make him excel in professional wrestling. Garibi once agreed to fight Britain's Martin Ford, but the deal was later cancelled amidst fears about the Iranian's mental health. He went further to accept a match against the Brazilian bodybuilder Romário dos Santos Alves. The acceptance would be his first professional fight. Apart from being a bodybuilder, he is also a practitioner of mixed martial arts. He offered to fight for his country in its war against ISIS in Syria in 2016. He could be seen saying, "I'm a defender of my country first," in a video. It was this decision that made him start training earlier. He has been featured in different roles in Iranian movies. Garibi suffered what could be described as a humiliating defeat during his boxing debut on July 31, 2022. He lost by TKO to Jumanov Almatbekitovic, also known as the Kazakh Titan, just 2 minutes into the opening round. Many people believe that Garibi doesn't actually possess the physique and strength he constantly boasts of. Oopsie! Number 12. Amu Haji. Amu Haji hasn't taken his bath for the last 67 years. At 85, he's the world's dirtiest man. Seeing him, you'd think he's just a troll or maybe an alien whose origin is unknown. But he's a real human being. He lives in the village of Dejga in Iran. You'd be surprised at the reason why he chose not to bathe. He simply felt he would fall ill. To him, cleanliness brings him sickness. It was also alleged that some priests told him he would have a son if he stopped bathing. Apart from not eating, he engages in the most irritating things. He had a poor diet. His meal is rotten meat of dead animals, most especially porcupines. He also smokes. But what he smokes isn't the usual tobacco. He smokes animal feces out of a rusty pipe. He drinks about 5 liters of water every day from a large rust tin can. Yuck, right? How did he get to be living such a weird life? Well, during his youthful days, he went through some emotional setbacks. He then decided to live an isolated life. He would wear a war helmet to keep himself warm during winters. He lived in a hole in the ground to keep himself in touch with the reality of life. He also stayed in an open brick shack, which was allegedly built by people who pitied his condition. Haji also had a special way of having a haircut. Rather than using a clipper, he would trim them by burning them over a fire. Trust us, Haji isn't the type of man you'd want to meet. Sadly, he died shortly after he took his first birth after a long time in October 2022. Number 11. Valery Smagly. Valery Smagly is an Ukrainian whose enviable lashes can cause quite a breeze when he flutters them. At 3 inches, Smagly thinks his lashes are the longest in the world. He would later attribute the growth of his lashes to a secret ingredient in his diet. He thought sharing the diet that contributed to the bizarre growth of his lashes would make him not to be able to monetize it. Smagly has considered bidding for a place in the Guinness World Records before cutting the lashes off. When he first noticed that his long, natural lashes attracted a lot of attention and praise from women, he decided to have them cut off. According to him, everyone he talks to gets distracted by the lashes. On several occasions, he would be asked about the secret behind the lashes. He was also discouraged by other men. Guinness World Records put the longest eyelash at 6.99 centimeters in 2007. It belongs to the left upper lid of Stuart Muller of Florida, USA. The eyelash was measured in Gainesville, Florida. He intended to head to the local registry office of the World Record Book to have his lashes officially measured to see if he would beat the previous record. Let's hope he makes it. Overall, what seems attractive to others is painful to Smagly. He stated that his eyelids are getting sore, making it difficult for him to see properly. After trimming them, he feels he will look pretty good. Number 10. Jason Barnum. Jason Barnum is a scary-looking individual, not because he looks like a vampire, but because he has tattooed his right eyeball. The tattoo darkened the white part of his right eye. Also, his face is covered with skulls. That's not even the weirdest thing he did. He went on a crime spree that involved stealing cars, burgling homes, and other criminal offenses. He is currently serving 22 years in jail for attempted murder and other offenses after shooting at some police officers investigating a string of burglaries in Alaska. Barnum had driven to Merrillfield Inn in Anchorage when officers noticed a vehicle that had been previously linked to burglaries in the parking lot. They went straight to Barnum's room for investigation. Upon sighting them, Barnum opened fire at them. The officers shot back at him, hitting him. Barnum pleaded guilty to attempted murder, a burglary charge, and third-degree weapons misconduct. During his hearing, he acknowledged the lifestyle choices that led him to commit his crimes. He admitted that he engaged in theft and burglary to feed his heroin addiction. The craziest thing about his mode of operation is that he would burgle houses when residents were at home. It was later discovered that Barnum had an extensive criminal record. He has been having run-ins with the law since 1993. In 2012, his bail was set at $500,000. He probably got fair treatment as he could have been jailed for longer, especially if the case had gone to trial. Number 9. Muhibija Buljubasic. Bosnian Muhibija Buljubasic is a man that could be regarded as a human magnet. His body has some sort of magnetic force that attracts metallic and plastic gadgets. Bulju Basic discovered this unusual ability to radiate special energy that would make him attach items to his body after watching a woman on TV put tablespoons on her body. He could be seen posing with a Samsung Galaxy S4 cell phone on his head. Bulju Basic, a car body repair specialist, has been able to stick any objects to his body, including glass objects such as ashtrays and whiskey bottles. The funniest thing is that he didn't have any special training to make his body perform that way. Apart from him, there are other people who claim to have developed the skill. One of them is Ermin Delik, a young boy who can keep spoons and mobile telephones stuck to his body. Also, Otto and Juraj Hoffman displayed their apparent ability to hold metal, wood, and plastic to their body in 2011. The same thing applies to Ivan Stoyiljkovic, a young boy that can attract up to 20 kilograms of plastic and metal objects to his body. People have been so impressed by the phenomenon, making them believe in the existence of human magnetism. But scientists have explained that the only condition to prove the existence of human magnetism is to place a compass on a body to see if there is a reaction. If the needle of the compass doesn't move in the direction of the potential magnetic field of the body, then the person isn't a human magnet. Number 8. Yu Zhenhuan. Yu Zhenhuan could be called Monkey Man. This Chinese man has an unusual look. With 96% of his body covered in fur, except for his palms and soles, Zhenhuan was officially the world's hairiest man in 2002. Yu Zhenhuan suffered a rare condition known as atavism. The condition made his body covered in hair since the age of 2, making him look like a chimpanzee putting on human clothes. The density of hair on his body reaches an average of 41 hairs per square centimeter, with each hair ranging in length from 1 to 6 centimeters. The furry fellow has made quite a living out of his look. He once starred in the movie Little Hairy Boy's Treasure Adventure. Also, he has promoted hair removal cream and the Planet of the Apes movie. Contrary to what he thought, he has been praised by young Chinese women on different occasions, telling him how manly he looked. Although his look has made him popular, he once lost 1/3 of his hearing as a result of excess hair inside his ears, making him suffer constant headaches. The hair in his ears was about 2 to 3 centimeters long. He had to get surgery to improve his hearing. During the surgery, doctors cut the skin from his ears, removed the hair and follicles, and then reattached the skin to his ears. To Yu, losing his hair would mean taking away a part of his personality, which can impact his level of confidence negatively. The rock and roll singer made his entertainment debut at the age of 6. Number 7. Carlos Rodriguez. Carlos Rodriguez lost a large portion of his skull and brain after crashing into a tree while driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. He was then nicknamed Halfie. Many who saw him thought his appearance was fake, but it isn't. He would later use his appearance to warn others against drinking and taking drugs. Rodriguez was a regular person with a full head until the age of 14. According to him, he was out on drugs while he was driving. Suddenly, he hit a pole. He flew out through the windshield and landed on his head on the asphalt. Consequently, doctors had to remove a portion of his skull and brain to save his life. It was after this incident that Rodriguez became the man with half a brain. You'd be surprised to learn that the procedure he passed through didn't affect the effective functioning of his brain. He can do virtually everything a normal man with a complete head and brain can do. An explanation for why he didn't suffer much impairment in his memory and cognitive ability is that he was young when the incident occurred. Despite his state, he's had some run-ins with the law. Rodriguez was launched into fame following his arrest in 2016 for attempted murder. He set his mattress on fire, which put the lives of 2 neighbors in danger. Years later, he was again arrested for soliciting a prostitute. He would later confess to the crimes while talking about his life. Number 6. Sultan Kosin. Here's the world's tallest man. The Turkish giant, Sultan Kosin, stands at a massive 8 feet 3 inches tall. While growing up, his stature denied him a lot. For instance, he couldn't attend school, and when he attempted to play basketball, he was deemed too tall. Since he was being rejected virtually everywhere he went, he decided to become a farmer to support his family. However, in 2009, His story changed following his recognition as the tallest man on Earth. The Guinness Book of Records stated that they hadn't measured anyone over 8 feet in over 20 years. After the recognition, he received free life-saving surgery, which was aimed at stopping his endless growth caused by a condition known as pituitary gigantism. A tumor had damaged Sultan's pituitary gland, leading to excess production of growth hormone. His huge growth spurt began when he was 10 years old. In 2016, Sultan made his Hollywood debut in Achieving the Impossible before exploring the globe with the Magic Circus of Samoa. His earnings have given him the opportunity to build a home that can accommodate his supersized stature. Sultan has been offered citizenship in many countries, but he preferred to be a citizen of the Republic of Turkey. He celebrated his 40th birthday in December 2022 and hopes to travel to the remaining countries he has yet to visit. Sultan once posed next to the statue of Robert Wadlow, the tallest man ever, who stood at the height of 8 feet 11.1 inches. Unfortunately, Robert died prematurely at the age of 22 years. Number 5. Gary Turner. Gary Turner is the man with the stretchiest skin. He suffers from an extreme case of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a rare genetic disorder that causes weakness in the skin. For this reason, he can stretch his skin to extreme levels, as you can notice in the video. No human has been seen performing incredible stunts with his skin as Turner does. In 1999, Turner stretched his abdominal skin to a total length of 6.25 inches, earning him the Guinness World Record. Apart from this, he can stretch the skin of his neck so that it can almost cover half his face. Insane, right? He starred in the short film, He Took His Skin Off for Me, and has also appeared in an episode of Ripley's Believe It or Not. Rather than suffer intimidation by his condition, Gary turned it into a money-making talent. Turner is a sideshow performer, entertaining people with his skin. He is fortunate that he's not suffering from a severe case of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. The condition is known to cause the rupture of blood vessels. In this case, the collagen strengthening the skin and determining its elasticity simply becomes defective. Turner isn't the only person with weird skin conditions. An 18-year-old girl, Emma Aldenrid from Denmark, once went viral with a rare condition that causes her skin to swell up red when touched. Also, another woman suffering from Raynaud's syndrome, a rare condition of the blood vessels where spasm of small arteries causes a reduction in the flow of blood to end arterioles. This condition leaves her fingers completely white. Number 4. Francisco Domino Joaquim. Nicknamed Chiquinho, Joaquim has a very weird talent. He has the biggest mouth in the world. He came into the limelight when his largemouth stunts went viral on YouTube. His mouth is so wide that it can contain an entire Coke can. Also known as the Angolan Jaw of Awe, Francisco has, since his discovery, become an internet sensation, racking up thousands of hits. After his video went viral, he went missing in action until he was found in his hometown in Angola. To Joaquim, it was a dream come true to be honored by Guinness World Records. His mouth, measuring 17 centimeters, is elastic and can stretch in all directions. He suffers from a connective tissue disorder, which makes it possible for him to stretch his mouth to that extent. To prove that his reputation was real, Joaquim participated in an Italian competition known as Big Mouth on the streets of Luanda, the capital of Angola. In the competition, contestants literally put their jaws to the test. They would put different kinds of strange objects, such as bottles, saucers, coffee cups, etc., in their mouths. None could beat the record set by Joaquim. The most amazing part of his feat is that his teeth are perfectly healthy. Also, he has never been to a dentist. He performed on an Italian TV show, popping a can of beverage in and out of his mouth 14 times, all within 1 minute. Number 3, Stan Jones. Look at Jones and you'd notice that the white-haired Air Force retiree is suffering from something that had made him grayish-blue, literally. When he first appeared for a U.S. Senate debate in Great Falls, everyone wondered what he was probably going through. Some even thought he might suffer a heart attack at the location, but that wasn't the case. Jones wasn't suffering from a known health condition. Rather, he was showing signs of a serious case of panic. Jones, in the late 1990s, had watched a demonstration on how to make colloidal silver. which was thought to be a universal antibiotic. Out of concerns that the impending Y2K crisis might reduce supplies of antibiotics, he started brewing his own colloidal silver. He electrically charged a couple of silver wires in a glass of water, after which he mixed the resulting particles into a dose of drinking water. He claimed the combination cured his psoriasis. At that time, there was a growing myth about the efficacy of colloidal silver in curing more than 650 diseases. Jones believed the myth until he started noticing the side effects of the dose. The side effect is known as argyria, a condition that permanently turns the skin bluish-gray. Jones would later regret using the daily dose of colloidal silver and eventually blamed himself for his condition. Number 2. José Mestre. José Mestre is a Portuguese man known for having a 40 centimeters and 5 kilograms hemangioma tumor on his face. When you see him, you'd surely pity his condition. Not only that, but you will also find it difficult to recognize him. Mestre was born with a venous malformation known as hemangioma. The tumor started forming on his lips when he was 14 and began growing uncontrollably. It grew bigger in size and weight during puberty. The tumor was an explosive growth of blood vessels that blinded Mestre in one eye and invaded his mouth. He found it difficult to breathe and was unable to eat. He resigned to fate and was expecting death to come his way. One would expect that Mestre would seek medical treatment to remove the tumor, but he didn't. There were rumors that his reluctance to undergo treatment was due to his mother's religious beliefs. His beliefs do not permit him to get a blood transfusion. Of course, this is true. Mestre was left to make a choice between two options: die from complications of frequent bleeding from the growing tumor, or renounce his faith and receive definitive surgery. However, he lost his mother, and his younger sister Edith, a hairdresser who was in her late 40s, became his guardian. In 2010, Mestre underwent 4 operations over a 3-month period at St. Joseph Hospital in Chicago, thanks to an English tourist that connected him with a plastic surgeon, Dr. McKay McKinnon, who carried out the operation. He successfully removed the life-threatening tumor during the first procedure. The subsequent 3 operations were to reconstruct his face. TLC chronicles Mestre's story in a TV documentary, The Man Who Lost His Face. Pretty interesting, right? Number 1. Abul Bajandar. Abul Bajandar, dubbed Tree Man, has had 25 operations since 2016 to remove growths from his hands and feet caused by a rare syndrome. Bajandar suffers from epidermodysplasia verruciformis, a rare genetic condition also known as Tree Man syndrome. His attempts to go abroad for better treatment didn't materialize as he lacked the financial capacity to cover the expenses. While recounting the pain he was going through, he once stated that he asked the doctors to cut off his hands so he could at least get some relief. His mother, Amina Bibi, was firmly in support of the plea. That's to show the hellish condition in which he was. In 2019, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina promised free treatment for Bajandar after his condition made several national and international headlines. He then lived in a hospital's private wing for nearly 2 years during his first round of treatment. This hospital is reputable for having treated a young Bangladeshi girl suffering from the same condition in 2017. Doctors declared her surgery a success, but her father later claimed that the growths returned in even greater numbers, forcing the family to stop the treatment and return to their village. Will Bajandar's case be different? After all, several surgeries carried out on him in the past have failed. He faced a 26th round of invasive surgery in 2019. But let's keep our fingers crossed and pray he survives the condition. What do you think about these men? Let us know in the comments.